Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle is a movie about four teenagers who get sucked into a video game and have to survive in the bodies of avatars they didn't choose, using skill sets they didn't ask for, against obstacles specifically designed to kill them. It's also one of the most accurate depictions of organizational leadership I've ever seen in a mainstream film. And I'm completely serious about that. Here's the thing about Jumanji that most people miss because they're too busy enjoying The Rock doing awkward teenager things. The game gave every single character 3 strengths and 1 weakness. 3 things they were exceptional at, 1 thing that could and would kill them if they weren't paying attention. And the game didn't negotiate. The weakness wasn't optional. It wasn't something they could level up past or unlock a workaround for. It was baked in, paired to the strength, part of the deal. Your organization works exactly the same way, and most leaders have no idea what their fatal weakness actually is until the game reveals it at the worst possible moment. Let me walk you through the 4 avatars quickly for anyone who needs the setup. And if you've seen the movie, stay with me because the business application is worth the 30 seconds. Spencer, the anxious, risk-averse teenager, gets Dr. Smolder Bravestone. Strength, speed, and fearlessness. The avatar is everything Spencer isn't. His weakness? None listed. Which sounds like an advantage until you realize the game is always balancing the ledger somewhere you're not looking. Fridge, the popular jock who coasts on physical ability, gets Franklin Mouse Finbar. Small, no strength, no speed. His weakness? Cake. He is literally killed by cake. The thing that cost him nothing in real life becomes lethal in the game. Bethany, the self-absorbed girl who's never thought about anyone else's experience, gets Professor Sheldon Shelley Oberon, a middle-aged, possibly a little overweight man. His weakness? Endurance and running. The girl who spent her entire life being looked at can suddenly navigate anything and can't outrun anything either. Martha, the introverted girl who hides from everything, gets Ruby Roundhouse, combat specialist, killer of men. Her weakness? Venom. The thing that gets under her skin, literally, is the thing that can drop her. Each weakness is specifically, almost surgically connected to who that person actually is. Fridge's weakness is indulgence, the thing that came easy. Bethany's weakness is endurance. She spent her whole life being the center of attention, never having to push through anything uncomfortable. The avatar gives her tools to find the way. It just can't give her stamina to sustain the journey. Martha's weakness is vulnerability. She armored herself against the world, and the armor has a seam. The game didn't assign random weaknesses. It assigned revealing ones. And your organization's fatal weakness isn't random either. Here's the principle that the movie illustrates better than most leadership frameworks I've ever read. Your greatest strength and your fatal weaknesses are not 2 separate things. They're the same thing, looked at from 2 different directions. The organization that's exceptionally fast, decisive, action-oriented, moves before competitors can react, is also the organization most likely to move before it's ready. Speed is the strength, impulsiveness is the weakness. Same asset, different expression. The organization that is exceptionally thorough, detailed, disciplined, nothing leaves without being reviewed, is also the organization most likely to be paralyzed when the market demands a fast response. Rigor is the strength, rigidity is the weakness. Same asset, different expression. The leader who is exceptionally loyal to their people, who protects their team, champions their cause, goes to the mat for them in every conversation, is also the leader most likely to tolerate someone who should have been removed 18 months ago because the relationship is too important to confront. Loyalty is the strength, tolerance of the wrong behavior is the weakness. Same asset, different expression. Jumanji made this visible in the way that real life almost never does, because in the game, the weakness is listed right there on the profile card. 3 strengths, 1 weakness. Explicit, acknowledged, known by the whole team before the mission starts. In your organization, nobody has a profile card. The strengths get celebrated in your annual review and your marketing materials and your origin story. The weaknesses get managed around, worked past, quietly accommodated until the moment the game decides to test them. And by then, it's usually expensive. Let me give you 4 organizational profiles, the most common ones I see in leadership work. See which one fits. Most organizations are primarily one of these with traces of the others. The Bravestone organization, strength, execution. Weakness, reflection. They're the organizations that get things done, relentlessly. They ship, they deliver, they move. The bias toward action is real and it produces real results. The weakness is that they never stop long enough to ask whether what they're executing is still the right thing to execute. Strategy becomes stale, culture drifts. The team burns out and nobody noticed because the momentum felt like health. The Finbar organization, strength, relationships. Weakness, standards. They're the organizations built on loyalty, warmth, and the genuine care people have for each other. Everyone loves working there. The culture feels exceptional. The weakness is that the warmth makes it almost impossible to hold the standard when holding the standard means a difficult conversation with someone people care about. The brilliant jerk stays. The underperformer gets accommodated. The bar quietly lowers because the relationship feels more important than the result. Cake, every time. The Oberon organization. Strength, expertise. Weakness, direction. These are the organizations with genuine depth, smart people, strong domain knowledge, real capability in their lane. They can read the map better than anyone in the room. The problem is execution over time. They know exactly where they're going, and they run out of gas getting there. Strategy is clear. Sustained flow-through isn't. The initiative launches strong and quietly loses momentum 3 months in when the energy required to keep moving exceeds what the organization can sustain. Brilliant at finding the destination, exhausted before they arrive. The Roundhouse organization. Strength, resilience. Weakness, vulnerability. These are the organizations that survive everything. They've been through the hardest years, the market shifts, the personnel crises. They are genuinely tough. The weakness is that the armor required to survive all of that makes it almost impossible to be honest about what's actually wrong. The culture doesn't surface problems, it absorbs them. People don't raise concerns, they manage around them. The venom gets in through the seam nobody wants to acknowledge is there. You recognize one of those, maybe two? That recognition is the beginning of the work. Here's what I find most remarkable about the way Jumanji handles this. The weaknesses don't go away. Nobody in the movie figures out how to eliminate their fatal weakness. Fridge doesn't stop being tempted by cake. Martha doesn't become immune to venom. The weakness is permanent. What changes is awareness. And awareness changes everything. Because once the team knows each other's weakness profile, explicitly, openly, without embarrassment, they can build on it. They can cover each other. They can anticipate the moment the weakness is about to be triggered and put someone in position to catch the fall. The weakness doesn't have to be fatal, it just has to be known. The most dangerous version of the organizational weakness isn't the one everyone knows about. It's the one that nobody's allowed to name. The one that leadership has decided is too sensitive, too threatening, too close to home to put on the profile card. That weakness doesn't get managed. It gets hidden, and hidden weaknesses don't stay hidden forever. The game always finds them eventually. The Business Maturity Index, the BMI, is built on exactly this principle. Every value aspect, every success element in your organization has a maturity level. And the diagnostic isn't designed to celebrate your strengths. It's designed to find the gap between where you think you are and where you actually are. That gap, the distance between the strengths you lead with and the weaknesses running underneath it, is where the work lives. Spencer's avatar had no listed weakness, and the game still tested him, still found the seam, still put him in a situation where the strength was useless and something else was required. No profile card is complete. No organization is without a vulnerability. The question is whether you're looking for it before the game does. 3 things. Take them back this week. 1. Name the weakness explicitly. Not in a vulnerability performance. Not as a humbling brag about how hard you work despite your limitations. A real, specific organizational acknowledgement of the thing that your greatest strength puts at risk. Fast organizations name the impulsiveness. Relationship-first organizations name the standards gap. Expert organizations name the endurance problem. Resilient organizations name the armor. Put it in the profile card. Say it out loud. The act of naming it is the first move towards managing it. 2. Build coverage into the team structure. The Jumanji team survived not because any one avatar was complete, but because the team together covered the gaps. Martha's combat capability covered Spencer's moment of doubt. Fridge's loyalty and physical presence covered moments that required something other than brilliance. Bethany's cartography and knowledge covered the route, while her endurance gap was managed by the team keeping the pace sustainable around her. You don't need a team of people without weaknesses. You need a team whose weaknesses don't overlap, and whose strengths do. That's the human element doing its job. 3. Watch for the moment the game tests your weakness. The weakness doesn't announce itself. It shows up disguised as a market opportunity that plays perfectly to your strength, right up until the moment it reveals the vulnerability underneath. As a personal decision that feels like loyalty, until it becomes tolerance. As a strategic plan that feels like thoroughness, until it becomes paralysis. The leaders who navigate these moments aren't the ones who eliminate the weakness. They're the ones who recognize it early enough to respond before the damage compounds. Know your profile, cover your gaps, watch the seams. Jumanji is a great film, genuinely funny, genuinely entertaining, and underneath all of it, genuinely instructive about something most organizations spend enormous energy avoiding. The game doesn't let you pretend the weakness isn't there. It puts it on the card, in plain language, visible to the whole team, before the mission starts. and then it tests it relentlessly, specifically at the worst possible moment. You don't get to opt out of the weakness. It came with the strength. The only choice is whether you know it's there and whether your team is building to cover it when the game decides to find out. If you want to run a proper diagnostic on where your organization's strengths and weaknesses actually sit, not where you think they sit, the Business Maturity Index is in the description. It's the profile card for your real operation. Start there.